poor sleep is associated with depression, with the development of depression. It is associated with increased hospitalizations. It is associated with loss of work time, poor school performance in children, diabetes risk, increased chance of death if you have heart failure, possible increased risk of stroke, especially sleep apnea. Sleep apnea has a clear risk with increased high blood pressure. Even insomnia without sleep apnea increases blood pressure. So today there is no hesitation at all in saying that a number of bad things happen to people who do not sleep well, regardless of the reason. Before it was argued, but there is really no argument anymore. The question now is, how do you take methods to improve sleep to very large populations, to millions and millions of people? How do you do that? That is the bigger challenge. The challenge is no longer to show that it is important. That has been shown.
There are some things necessary for a good life. Clean water, good food, good friends, but also good sleep. Sleep is a necessary part of existence. Humans, animals, and even insects have sleep-like states. When sleep is disrupted, there is a disruption of brain function, heart function, entire body function actually. So restful sleep is a very important part of health, and it's completely necessary. It has been ignored for a long time, but now there is information about sleep and its disorders, as well as ways to measure it, treat it. It is somewhat unfortunate that still in the most populated parts of the world, like Asia, there is not much availability and not much interest yet in sleep medicine compared to the US or America or Germany, as an example. So I'm hoping that that will change. But sleep is absolutely necessary for good life and good health.
When you look at the standard sleep study, the measure of sleep quality is if you have slow brain waves or not. And the slower the brain waves are and the taller the brain waves are, the more likely sleep is deep and restful. The problem with this approach, which is useful of course, is that the brain waves change a lot across the same night. They change by medications, they change by individuals, so you may have less or more than me, even if we sleep equally well. The change across the night is so much that most of us, most adults, have less than 20% of what is thought to be restful sleep or deep sleep. When we look at the CPC technique, it is not dependent on the brain waves at all. And the breathing and heartbeats, they are equally useful and equally unchanged all the time, beginning of the night or end of the night. So when you use the CPC technique, you're able to understand sleep quality across the whole night. But the most important point I'd like to make is that it is not whether one is better than the other. It is much more important to think of the CPC technique as a different way to understand sleep. The brainwave-based technique is very important, but it has a lot of difficulties in doing it many times. It's hard to make it automatic in scoring. It's much more difficult to use. There's more prone to have outside signals coming into it. The ECG is just a simpler signal to work with. and it gives you information all across the night. It is different, and there's enough data now. We have many publications, 4 which are actually in print, and 3 other papers which are close to acceptance, and we have analyzed nearly 20,000 adult studies and very large amounts of rat and mice studies, and we can say with some confidence that good sleep quality is high-frequency coupling. In high-frequency coupling, every breath is associated with breath-by-breath fluctuations in blood pressure, in sleep. This is very restful. In low-frequency coupling, you have variations which occur over a much less frequent interval, and that is usually seen when sleep is disrupted, whether it is by pain or sleep apnea or too much coffee before bedtime. So there's 2 basic ways the brain functions, and this technique gives you a very different view from the conventional approach. Both are good. Both have advantages. So it is a matter of using both properly. Method which allows you to track an important body physiology will be useful, just like tracking high blood pressure, body weight, mood, temperature. So being able to track sleep and its quality quite easily will be useful in health and disease. So I think that should be quite clear, that being able to track sleep easily is a very important function for regular health as well as disease practice. The technical term used in America is point of care testing, which means where the patient is, that is where the testing occurs. Because the point of care is where the patient is. And that often is in the patient's home. And there is technology today which allows you to do that. Most of the technology today has not yet come to market, and many of them will never come to market in the US for sure, because there is no business model which can work. But home blood sugar testing is the best example of a mature area which did not exist 30 years ago. And today, diabetes treatment management without home sugar testing is almost impossible. So something like this, which very easily just put it on and you go to sleep, very easily allows you to take sleep management to a much more precise way to the patient's home. And one can imagine a small device like this which can test many more things, from even blood to saliva to body temperature to CPC, even brain waves, because brain waves are of course useful. So this is this kind of device, this approach of small devices is the future of medicine in general, and definitely the future of sleep medicine. I'm encouraging my sleep colleagues to think of developing small devices which really make sleep something which is available to everybody in terms of testing, rather than being rich enough to go to the sleep lab. You really want this out to people, just like they have a blood pressure machine at home or a thermometer to measure temperature. You need to have something which everybody can have and can use in an intelligent way. Humans are intelligent. They can definitely use this. You don't need to be a doctor to use this. You don't need to be a doctor to understand the graphs. I think it's very important to remove the mystery from sleep so that anybody and everybody has a right to good sleep.